Tucked away in the depths of California's desert, far removed from the influence of government regulations and the comforts of modern living, lies a place unlike any other, Slab City, frequently referred to as the last free place in America. Here, there are no police officers patrolling the streets, no governing authorities dictating the rules, and most importantly, no rent to be paid. In its place is a vibrant and rugged self-sustained community made up of wanderers, artists, outcasts, homeless individuals, and rebels who have chosen to carve out a life on their own terms. It is a place where personal freedom rules above all else. However, the question remains, while it may appear as an oasis of liberty, is Slab City truly a utopia, or merely a chaotic and illusory vision of paradise? Join us as we venture into the heart of Slab City, a place where the American dream has been reimagined in ways that are completely unexpected and unorthodox. Before the United States entered World War II, the U.S. Marine Corps needed a location to train soldiers in field operations and anti-aircraft artillery. They found a spot near San Diego that was easily accessible by planes departing from aircraft carriers. The government claimed over 600 acres of land in the area and established a training base, which they named after Brigadier General Robert Henry Dunlap, a distinguished Marine officer. By October 15, 1942, Camp Dunlap was fully operational, complete with all the infrastructure a military base required, including buildings, water systems, roads, and sewage facilities. The base served its purpose for 3 years, training military personnel before the end of the war. However, by 1949, the majority of the military activities ceased, and the base's operations dwindled. Some military personnel remained on the site until 1956, when the base was officially decommissioned, and all the structures were demolished. What remained were only the concrete slabs where buildings once stood, giving birth to the area we now know as Slab City. The initial settlers of this barren land were veterans who had served at Camp Dunlap, followed by drifters and RV campers searching for a free spot to park near Palm Springs. Today, the locals who call Slab City home refer to themselves as Slabbies, while visitors are often referred to as normies. In 1961, control of the land was transferred to California by the Department of Defense. However, since no specific guidelines were issued for its use, Slab City continued to evolve and grow in its own unregulated and free-spirited way. The unique character of the community started to attract attention, especially after an article about it was featured in Trailer Life and RV magazine in the 1980s. By 1988, Slab City had become home to nearly 2,000 RVs, and one of its most notable residents, Leonard Knight, had begun constructing his famous art installation, Salvation Mountain. Knight devoted nearly 30 years to building the mountain out of adobe, concrete, and donated paint, working on it daily despite the absence of electricity or running water. His artwork even made it into the 2007 film Into the Wild. In 2018, Smithsonian Magazine referred to Slab City as a squatter's paradise, with the locals proudly regarding it as one of the last remaining places in America where true freedom is still possible. Residents in Slab City value their privacy, with many choosing to live off the grid and entirely out of sight. The desert surroundings offer the perfect sanctuary for those seeking solitude and the freedom to live on their own terms, without the watchful eyes of society. The culture of Slab City is just as unique as the place itself. The Slabbies have built a community based on creativity, self-reliance, and mutual support. One of the standout features is the artsy vibe surrounding Salvation Mountain. This huge, vibrant art piece by Leonard Knight has become a symbol of the area's creative spirit, with artists crafting everything from paintings to sculptures, often using recycled materials. Not only is it a way for people to express themselves, but it also helps draw visitors and generate some income. Another important element that shapes the culture of Slab City is the presence of the snowbirds, seasonal residents who migrate there during the colder months in search of warmth and sunshine. Many of these snowbirds are retirees, bringing a different dynamic to the community. Their arrival contributes to the local economy, as they spend money on various goods and services. In addition to their economic impact, many snowbirds also volunteer their time and efforts to help improve the area's living conditions, making them an essential part of the community. Their presence highlights how the alternative lifestyle and sense of freedom that Slab City offers can be incredibly appealing, not just to the year-round residents, but to those looking for a seasonal escape as well. Equally significant to Slab City's culture are the off-gridders, individuals who have chosen to live without relying on modern conveniences like electricity or running water. These off-gridders have adopted a lifestyle focused on sustainability, using solar panels for power, collecting rainwater for drinking and cleaning, and striving to minimize their environmental impact. This way of life is an integral part of what makes Slab City so unique, as it reflects the community's values of independence, self-sufficiency, and a deep connection to nature. In a place where basic amenities are scarce, the residents' ability to live without them demonstrates their resilience and their desire to forge their own path. The off-gridders in Slab City often share their knowledge, skills, and resources with others, fostering a close-knit community where helping each other is the norm. Life in Slab City isn't just about surviving, though. It's also about creativity and expression. The art scene here is thriving, with musicians, performers, and artists adding their personal touch to the vibrant atmosphere. One of the standout features of the Slab City art scene is The Range, an open-air music venue that hosts weekly performances. This space allows both locals and visitors to take the stage, providing an opportunity for everyone to enjoy live music in an unforgettable desert setting. The Range is more than just a venue. It's a reflection of the community's spirit, offering a place where creativity and expression are celebrated. Traditions in Slab City are a reflection of the residents' love for freedom and their desire to live unconventionally. One of the most cherished traditions is the communal potluck dinners held at the Range. These gatherings allow people to share homemade meals, tell stories, and enjoy live music together, fostering a sense of unity and camaraderie. The potluck dinners serve as a reminder of the importance of support and connection in a community that values independence. Another unique tradition, which may seem strange to outsiders, is scavenging or dumpster diving. Many slabbies make use of discarded items, ranging from building materials to food. This practice is not just about making do with what's available. It's a testament to their resourcefulness and their commitment to sustainability. By repurposing items that would otherwise go to waste, scavenging helps reduce the community's environmental footprint while making the most of limited resources. Slab City also has its own version of a prom, an event that embodies the community's creative and fun-loving spirit. The annual Slab City Prom is an opportunity for residents to dress up in their best outfits, many of which are homemade or secondhand. The event is a carefree celebration where everyone can express themselves through dance and fashion, regardless of their background or personal circumstances. It's a night of joy and inclusivity, where people come together to celebrate life in a way that reflects the spirit of the community. In addition to its traditions, Slab City is home to several landmarks that hold cultural significance for the residents. These places contribute to the area's distinctive character, offering a sense of belonging and a reminder of the community's roots. Whether it's Leonard Knight's Salvation Mountain or other unique art installations, these landmarks serve as symbols of the creative and independent spirit that defines Slab City. Of course, like any community, Slab City has its fair share of challenges. Crime is a persistent issue, particularly petty theft, drug use, and trafficking, which are exacerbated by the area's transient population and limited job opportunities. Unfortunately, violence has also been a part of life in Slab City. In May 2021, the community was shaken by the tragic murder of 21-year-old transgender man Poe Delwyn Black. His body was discovered in a canal north of Slab City, and the crime remains unsolved, casting a shadow over the area and reminding residents of the dangers they face. Just a few years later, in July 2024, another murder occurred when the body of 54-year-old Charles Onver Pierce was found in Slab City. Like the earlier crime, Pierce's death appears to be the result of foul play, and investigations into both cases are still ongoing. These incidents serve as a stark reminder of the risks that come with living in an unregulated and isolated community. The community also struggles with narcotics, particularly methamphetamine, which is often tied to addiction, theft, and violence. The lack of an official police force makes it easier for drug use to run rampant. The Imperial County Sheriff's Office is in charge of law enforcement in Slab City, regularly patrolling the area to maintain some level of order. but most issues are dealt with by the community itself. The legal system in Slab City is far from traditional. While federal and state laws still apply, enforcement is relaxed and disputes are usually solved through self-policing and mutual agreements. Punishments for crimes vary depending on the situation and how the community chooses to handle it. In some cases, when someone commits a serious crime, they might get reported to the authorities, but for the smaller issues, people usually handle things themselves, often through mediation or with a bit of help from the community. So the big question is, what does the future hold for Slab City? Will there be any prospects to offer residents hope for a better life, or is it destined to stay stuck in its lawless ways? Let's dive into what might be in store. Geographically speaking, Slab City is surrounded by some interesting landmarks. Just to the west, you'll find the Salton Sea, a large, salty lake formed by accident in the early 1900s. This lake is crucial for the region, creating a surprising water-filled oasis in the middle of the dry desert. If you head about 4 miles southwest of Slab City, you'll hit a small town called Nyland, which is the closest spot to grab some basic supplies and services. To the east, the Chocolate Mountains rise up, a dry and rugged range known for their mineral deposits and use in military training, adding to the isolated vibe. South of Slab City is the Imperial Valley, a bustling farming region with rich soil and irrigation systems. Slab City's desert climate is a major factor in how people live. The weather can be extreme, with scorching summers that often see temperatures soaring over 100 degrees F, sometimes even reaching 120 degrees F. This heat can be deadly without proper shade or ways to cool down. On the flip side, winters are more bearable, with temperatures ranging between 60 degrees F and 80 degrees F, and rain is practically a rarity. When it does rain, it usually comes in the form of strong, short storms that can cause flash floods. The dry air makes the heat feel even more intense in summer, and though the humidity rises with the proximity to the Salton Sea, it still doesn't quite make up for the harsh desert conditions. Despite the tough environment, Slab City hasn't been hit by major natural disasters like earthquakes or floods. However, heat waves are a real threat, and if they last for days, they can lead to heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and other health problems. People living there have to be careful to stay hydrated and find ways to stay cool. Occasionally, flash floods can occur after intense thunderstorms, especially because the flat land doesn't allow much rainwater to soak in. While these floods usually don't last long, they can still cause damage to roads and property. Dust storms, often a result of windy conditions, can also make visibility poor, irritate the lungs, and make driving dangerous. When it comes to the economy in a place known for its rent-free lifestyle, it's a bit different from your typical town. There aren't any big businesses or factories, but the Slabbies make it work through creative means. Trading and bartering are at the heart of their economy. For example, someone who's good at fixing cars might repair a neighbor's vehicle in exchange for food or supplies. Money isn't used much, so these trades are essential for survival. Many of the jobs in Slab City are unconventional. Some rely on government support like Social Security or disability payments, while others earn a living through creative work. The community is well known for its art scene, with residents making and selling paintings, crafts, and sculptures. Leonard Knight's Salvation Mountain is one of the most famous examples of this art-driven lifestyle. Recycling and reusing are also huge parts of life in Slab City. Without formal trash collection, many residents use materials others have thrown away to build structures, create art, or sell recyclable items. Tourism plays a role in supporting the local economy as well, especially during the cooler months. Visitors flock to the area to see the unique sights, and some Slabbies earn money by giving tours, selling souvenirs, or renting out camping spots. This influx of tourists helps bring in extra income during the winter, offering a bit of financial relief to the community. People in Slab City have been brainstorming ways to bring in more money and improve life for everyone. But their ideas don't always go over smoothly. Many residents prefer to maintain their independence and avoid outside interference, meaning any change often faces some resistance. Still, the community's creative spirit and resourcefulness continue to drive them forward, even in a place where conventional rules don't apply. The community in Slab City holds its freedom and unique lifestyle in high regard. So any suggestions for change can sometimes feel like a threat to that cherished independence. Yet, despite the resistance to change, Some interesting ideas have been floated. One option gaining traction is solar energy, as the desert receives abundant sunlight. A few residents already use solar panels to power their homes, and expanding this could help others reduce their reliance on outside resources while even making some extra cash. Another idea is the possibility of growing food in the harsh desert environment. While it's certainly a challenge, small farms or permaculture projects could help residents become more self-sufficient by growing their own food, and maybe even selling it for some extra income. There's also talk of starting cooperative businesses like community gardens, workshops, or small markets. These projects could give residents new ways to make money without losing the tight-knit community feel Slab City is known for. Let's dive into some of the larger challenges faced by the residents of Slab City, particularly in the areas of healthcare and education, both of which are major hurdles in this unique desert community. When it comes to healthcare, access is extremely limited due to Slab City's remote location and the absence of basic services. There are no hospitals, clinics, or medical facilities within the area, meaning that anyone in need of medical care must travel to nearby towns like Nyland or Brawley. Unfortunately, neither of these towns are particularly close, and for those without a vehicle, this can pose a significant problem. Many people in the community tend to rely on self-care for minor health issues or seek help from their neighbors. However, for more serious medical concerns, the journey to the nearest towns is inevitable. Along with the lack of health care, the living conditions in Slab City are made more difficult by the absence of clean water and proper sanitation systems. Water must be brought in from nearby towns, and many residents use makeshift toilets, which increases the risk of spreading germs and illnesses. Furthermore, the scorching summer heat brings its own set of challenges, such as dehydration and heat-related health issues. The lack of a formal waste disposal system also contributes to the spread of health risks, as trash accumulates and creates an unhygienic environment. A few nonprofits and mobile health clinics try to provide assistance by making rare visits to the area. But these services are infrequent and do not address the deeper, ongoing health challenges that the residents face on a daily basis. Education in Slab City presents its own set of challenges, particularly for families with children or anyone interested in furthering their own education. There are no schools or educational facilities in the area, leaving many families to take education into their own hands. Most parents teach their children at home, often relying on informal methods and community cooperation. Education becomes a flexible and hands-on experience, where people share their knowledge and help each other learn through practical activities. Adults also have opportunities to learn by participating in workshops, group lessons, or just by being involved in everyday tasks like setting up solar panels or collecting water. While this creative approach to learning helps fill some of the gaps, it is far from perfect. Without a formal curriculum or sufficient educational supplies, it can be difficult to ensure a comprehensive education for the younger generation. A potential solution to the educational struggles in Slab City could be the creation of a community learning center or library, which would offer books, educational materials, and possibly even internet access. This space could also serve as a hub for workshops, skill-sharing events, and community gatherings, providing new opportunities for growth and learning. Outside organizations or volunteers could play a crucial role in making this vision a reality, offering resources, support, and expertise through initiatives like mobile libraries, internet stations, or visiting teachers. When it comes to landmarks, Slab City is home to some truly unique and iconic sites that stand as symbols of the community's creativity and spirit. One of the most famous and recognizable landmarks in the area is Salvation Mountain. This colorful three-story hill sits prominently on the edge of the community, visible to anyone approaching from California State Route 111. Salvation Mountain is covered in layers of latex paint, concrete, and adobe, with Bible verses scattered across the surface. It was created by Leonard Knight, a longtime resident of Slab City, and it took him nearly 2 decades to complete. Standing at an impressive 50 feet tall, Salvation Mountain has become a massive piece of religious folk art, representing the community's spirit of artistic freedom and self-expression. In 2002, it was even honored by being named a Congressional National Folk Art Treasure, a testament to the impact and significance of Knight's work. Interestingly, the current version of Salvation Mountain is actually the second iteration to be built on the site. Leonard Knight first started constructing Salvation Mountain in 1984, but the original structure collapsed in 1989 due to the instability of the materials used. Undeterred, Knight rebuilt the mountain, using stronger materials like adobe mixed with straw to ensure it would last. Leonard Knight passed away on February 10, 2014, after spending his final days in a nursing home, but not before making one last visit to Salvation Mountain in May 2013. This poignant moment was covered by news outlets, marking the end of a chapter for the iconic piece of art and the community that embraced it. Another spot that attracts visitors is East Jesus, an experimental living space and art installation. Despite the name, East Jesus doesn't carry any religious significance. It's simply a phrase to describe a place out in the middle of nowhere. The location, which lacks municipal utilities, was started in early 2007 by Charlie Russell, who left his tech job and decided to pack up his things and move them to a field full of trash. There, he began surrounding two of his cars with sculptures, eventually renaming the area East Jesus. After Charlie's death in May 2011, the Choose Foundation, a nonprofit formed that same year, took over the project. The foundation guided its development and added new pieces. East Jesus is known for experimental art, including live events, performances, music, photography, and especially sculptures. The artwork is constantly changing, though, due to the harsh desert environment, which makes the pieces wear down quickly. A volunteer once described the vibe of East Jesus, and really all of Slab City, as having a salvage punk attitude, where the art is always decaying, evolving, or growing in some way. This sets it apart from typical art galleries. It reflects both the extreme conditions of the desert and the large number of artists who have contributed. Back in 2014, residents were giving free tours, hosting visiting artists, and allowing guests to stay overnight, further adding to the community's creative spirit. Then there's The Range, an open-air nightclub that feels as much like a homey gathering spot as a music venue. With a stage, lights, amplifiers, and speakers, it also features worn-out couches and old chairs for seating. Every Saturday evening, locals and visitors alike gather around for a talent show. Anyone can perform, not just full-time musicians, which gives the space a laid-back, inclusive vibe. The Range is run by William Ammon, known as Builder Bill, a longtime Slab City resident. His wife, Robin Ammon, collected old prom dresses for the annual Slab City prom, allowing many residents who never had the chance to attend one in their younger years to finally experience it. Despite the creative community and fun events, Slab City isn't the safest place to live. In fact, it could be considered one of the least secure areas around, with limited law enforcement and an often chaotic environment. Looking to the future, there's a lot of talk about what might come next for Slab City. One of the most pressing issues is the potential sale of the land by the California State Lands Commission. The state owns the land, and any money raised from selling it would go to the California State Teachers' Retirement System. If the land is sold, it could completely change the way the community functions, which has raised concerns among some residents. To address this, a group formed the Slab City Community Group Incorporated, with the aim of purchasing the land to keep it in their control. Beyond that, there are ideas to improve living conditions and the setup of the area. One of the main suggestions is the expanded use of renewable energy, particularly solar power, as the desert receives a lot of sunlight. Solar panels could provide a steady and sustainable source of power for homes, improving the quality of life for residents while minimizing reliance on outside resources. In Slab City, there are already some residents taking advantage of solar energy, with a few individuals and groups using solar panels to power their homes. If the community were to expand this initiative, it could significantly reduce their reliance on external resources, which would be a huge step toward greater independence. Solar energy could help the residents live in a more self-sufficient way, and it could ultimately improve the quality of life for everyone living there. This is just one example of how the community is looking for sustainable solutions to address some of the issues they face. However, another pressing issue that needs attention is waste management and environmental protection. As Slab City doesn't have a formal trash collection system, trash often piles up, and abandoned vehicles contribute to the mess. This creates not only a visual eyesore but also environmental hazards that affect everyone. Fortunately, some of the residents have taken matters into their own hands, actively cleaning up the area and encouraging recycling. If the community could organize a more systematic approach to waste management, it would benefit both the environment and the health of those who live there. A well-managed waste system would reduce the health risks posed by trash, decrease pollution, and ultimately make the area a cleaner, more livable space for everyone. Slab City has also garnered significant media attention over the years, with numerous news outlets exploring different aspects of life in the community. Many articles have focused on the unique lifestyle of the residents, who live by their own set of rules and principles, often rejecting traditional societal structures. For example, the New York Times has written about how the residents of Slab City create their own social systems, and the widespread anti-government sentiment that defines the area. These articles often delve into the poverty that is prevalent in the region, as well as the different social classes within the community, highlighting the differences between those who live in Slab City year-round and those who come for a few months. The Los Angeles Times has also frequently reported on the contrast between these groups, particularly focusing on the snowbirds, seasonal residents who flock to the area during the winter to escape the cold weather in other parts of the country. The media coverage also tends to explore how people of various ages and genders interact within the community, the challenges and freedoms associated with living with little to no rules, and the importance of basic services such as clean water and medical care, which are scarce in the area. The idea of living off the grid and forming a close-knit community is a central theme in many of the articles, as it is a defining characteristic of Slab City's lifestyle. In addition to media coverage, anthropologists have taken an interest in studying Slab City's social dynamics. Even though the residents reject traditional systems, they've found that a social hierarchy still exists within the community. One key aspect of this hierarchy is the role played by snowbirds, who help sustain the local economy through their spending and volunteer work. Anthropologists have pointed out that while Slab City is often viewed as a haven for freedom, it's not without its contradictions. The freedom experienced by the residents is often tempered by the difficult realities of living in such an isolated and resource-poor environment. Several documentaries and short films have been made to give viewers a deeper understanding of life in Slab City. One such documentary, The Last Free Place in America, produced by Andea, explores the daily lives of slabbers and touches on the challenges they face, such as the lack of basic services like running water and electricity, extreme weather conditions, and the need for a strong sense of community. Despite the difficulties, the filmmakers discovered that the residents of Slab City cherish their freedom and are deeply committed to the unique lifestyle that defines their home. This sense of belonging and independence is something that many of the residents hold dear, even if it comes with a set of hardships that they have to navigate on a daily basis. Another documentary, Slab Unity, filmed over 2 days in May 2021, captures the colorful and diverse nature of the community, showcasing the residents' creativity and resourcefulness. The filmmakers were struck by the strong sense of togetherness in Slab City and the way people make do with what they have. The film presents Slab City as a perfect example of human adaptability and survival in tough conditions. Why is Slab City the last free place in America? Takes a closer look at the lives of the people who call Slab City home, exploring their backgrounds, lifestyles, struggles, and hopes. It contrasts Slab City with nearby military bases, examining how the two worlds sometimes interact. The documentary suggests that Slab City is an experiment in alternative living, where people make their own rules and create their own culture. Prominent figures have also shared their thoughts on Slab City, offering additional insight into life there. Ranger Rick, a filmmaker from Louisiana, spent 2 weeks living in Slab City and documented his experience on his YouTube channel. He described the residents as unconventional souls who have come together to form a close-knit community that values independence, self-expression, and simple pleasures. Despite the area's dangerous reputation, Rick found that the community was made up of all kinds of people, all drawn to the idea of living an alternative lifestyle. Ben Fogle, a broadcaster and adventurer, also spent time in Slab City for his TV show Ben Fogle and the Lost City. While he expressed concern about the potential impact of shining too much of a spotlight on the community, fearing it could lead to an influx of tourists and more interference from authorities, he called Slab City an extraordinary place where residents are almost entirely disconnected from the outside world. He referred to it as Babylon, noting that many residents were more focused on securing food and shelter than on the outside world's problems. Finally, DNA, a gender-fluid artist from San Diego, shared his reasons for choosing Slab City as his home during an interview for the show New Lives in the Wild. He explained that the freedom and lawlessness of the community appealed to him, allowing him to live without societal restrictions and express himself however he wanted.